Hello, welcome to the special June 12 broadcast reaching you from iBrandTV. I am Femi Johnson Ayadele. June 12 has been widely adjudged as the fiercest election Nigeria ever had. And as Nigeria celebrates National Day of Democracy, it's important we have this conversation with some of the personalities that make June 12 what it is today. Today's conversation is taking place with Abiola Abiola.
Thank you for having me.
All right, June 12th has been a historical day. In 2018 precisely, President Buhari announced or pronounced it as National Democracy Day. How do you feel 28 years after?
First of all, I'd like to thank Mr. President for giving my father such an honor. It's funny because when I was told that this was going to happen, and then it actually happened, I believed it was a new beginning, for the nation. I believe that from that acknowledgement, there were certain things that were supposed to be naturally should just follow. You didn't have to. It's okay. So my father was giving this award. So we're now acknowledging a fact that yes, somebody stood, fought, and won an election. Not to mention the millions of people who supported him in that process of getting to this, Democracy Day, or to this, like pivotal moments in our history. Acknowledging that, one, was justice. And I think that nothing is ever done properly if justice is not at the core of it. So once that was acknowledged, the first thing I expected to see was like active movement towards addressing the issues that are plaguing the nation as we speak. My father did not mince his words when he ran in 1983. He said farewell to poverty. Now, everywhere I look across this great land, it's not something that I believe my father will be pleased about. So when I received the knowledge or the information of this happening, I was excited because I believed that this was going to open up new venues for a nation to actually progress.
Now let's go memory lane. Can you recall where you were June 12, 1993 and some of the events that happened preceding the election and even after the election?
Well, June 12, 1993, I was still think about 6, going on 7. And I was aware of my surroundings, but maybe not necessarily, I didn't capture or understand the magnitude of what it was. But I was aware that something epic was going to happen, something that had the ability to shift the tide. And you see, people always talk about the birth of a nation, nations don't just get built. It comes up by public action where people themselves decide. And I think on June 12, we had the trifecta. One, we had a candidate that people could actually believe in. The fact that it was a Muslim ticket did not persuade or dissuade anybody from voting. Another thing that we also had was an acknowledgement from the leader, my father I'm talking now. He has said to us that, look, you can't shave my head in my absence. Basically, what he was trying to explain to people was Nigeria is only not working because we are hiding the truth from the people who make up the country. He made a statement saying that NNPC's daily bunkering, whatever they lift out of the ground every day will be published. You see, these statements, they were probably sending shivers down the halls that be. We all know where these halls are. But what I'm just trying to say is that Nigeria can only be better when we tell each other the truth. We can't sit here and act like everything is working or everything is going well. So yes, I was pleased when Buhari won in the first term, when he won, because I believe that there was a lot of corruption going on in the nation. So what I was expecting from Buhari was to tackle this insecurity and corruption head on. We need public displays of these things. We need people who have gone wrong to face the law and be prosecuted in the full glare of the public. People need to see this. That is the only way we can deter others from doing the same. But in a situation where we have, a case will start on Monday, by Wednesday we don't even know what is happening with the case. Then Friday comes and there was no even case to begin with. So you're wondering, were you there on Monday or was it? So it becomes a little bit, I'm pleased that my father was acknowledged. But what I'm not pleased about is that it's like you just acknowledge the man and you don't take in any of his inputs. He made some tangent decisions in 1993 that I believe if we actually restructure, we can take these ideas that he might have had then and try to bring it back into the light today. Because today what we find is we have a constitution that was not ours to begin with. We have people doing things that they don't even know, because the constitution is silent. The constitution is duplicating roles between different ministries. You don't even know who is even in charge of what anymore. For me, I believe that if we can, as a nation, decide on a new constitution, it can only lead us to greatness.
How will you describe your dad and your mom and the impact he had on you while growing up?
My father was a Nigerian. The first thing I remember about late Chief MKO Abiola was he was very humble. I grew up in like I would say with 2 gold spoons, and even like everything was gold. I grew up with everything I would ever wanted as a kid. And it was funny because I, at the time, could see people not exactly having a good time, but they'll come seeking support from my father. And they didn't leave, even if my father had given them support, they still left with so much, humility for my father. They still loved him so much because he didn't make them feel less than for requesting for help. I think now in Nigeria, it's like people who actually seek for help are being seen as maybe, beggars or maybe they're not worthy, which I think it's a misnomer. It's not that. I think it's even actually the strongest persons are the ones who actually open up and say, can I get help? If you're asking for help, it's because you want to better yourself, and nobody should be faulted for trying to better themselves. So my father gave you the impression that, look, you came to ask him for whatever it was. He will give you what you asked for. And when you said, sir, I will bring back this money for you, my father said, no, please do for somebody else. My father realized that Nigeria at the time when he was probably alive, it was probably 100 million people. If he couldn't help all 100 million, but if he could help the ones he could, and those helped other people, before you know it, will cover the whole Nigeria. So I think my father was a united figure, and he wanted the unity of Nigeria as a whole.
Can you recall your last moment with your dad?
My last moment with Chief MKO Abiola would be a little bit dicey because, during the 1993 elections, after the elections, and after the annulment of the elections, my father had to escape, so he had to leave. I think at that time, I was probably about maybe 8 at the time. I was playing soccer on the field. It was me and my younger brother Hadi, and we were playing soccer. And then next thing, I see my father walk into the soccer field, which is kind of very odd to see him walking around the house, especially to the back of the house. And the next thing, he comes over to me, he gives me a hug, and gives my younger brother a hug. And then he climbs the fence. I'm thinking, you're the owner of the whole house. Why is he climbing the fence? But it didn't really click. But later on, I realized that my father had received information that they were going to come and pick him up. Because at night, when I was about to sleep, the soldiers had come to the house and they were ransacking everywhere. They were looking through all the wardrobes, looking for my father. And my father was kind of a very big man. He couldn't probably fit into the wardrobe, but they still checked, and they were checking with their guns. I'm like, if he was there, you would know from outside the wardrobe. But so apparently my father had scaled the fence. The fence on the west side of the house, it leads to another street called Sule Abuka. Sule Abuka is actually linked to Aare. So if you are on that side, you can just, without anybody knowing that you're from this area. So he climbed the fence, got into a friend's house, entered his friend's car, who took him to the airport, and then he was able to leave the country for the United States, where he sought support for his mandates, of which obviously he didn't receive the audience he was expecting or the support he needed, so he decided to come and fight on his own. So today, when I hear Joe Biden, the president of the United States, actually make comments about how Nigeria is a failed state or not, I wonder how, the Americans would actually have the effrontery to even speak about this issue, especially knowing that they could have actually helped us sort out this issue in 1993, which they did not, in 98, which they did not, and throughout consecutive governments that have just been stealing the Nigerian money and taking it to their country. They don't stop us from bringing the stolen funds to their country, but then they can still make comments about how failed or not the state is. I am very skeptical when I hear leaders of certain countries, want to, be, holier than thou, and now want to now question, Nigeria as a nation, because I believe that some of these questions can be put back to them.